As the year 2000 approached, so did the two-wheeled 200-mile-an-hour barrier. But whilst in 1999 only one bike got near the double ton, now there were two. The Hayabusa and the ZX-12. Just to put it in context, two bikes capable of 150 miles an hour in third gear, with as many more still to go. Two bikes so fast they made even the Super Blackbird look lame, and rendered the awesome Yamaha R1 a non-starter. It was an epic contest in store. But it was a very different crew that took up the Normandy landings in Y2K. With Jimmy officially on the run, Shaky officially a works rider, Gazza officially on holiday, and Chiefy officially old, it was left to Bollocks, Young Boy and Dansky to forge the bridgehead into France. And right from the off, it was obvious that Young Boy was going to be no pushover. Shit, Frost even had to put both hands on the bars. Joking aside, riding with these guys was a baptism of fire. And if Jamie's dad could see him now, he'd probably tell him drugs were safer. But if Jamie wasn't slow, it was obvious even after 10 minutes that the bird just wasn't up for it. And whilst it could keep up on the slower corners, out in the open and on the longer curves, it was already getting crucified. This is, after all, basically a 150 mile an hour single track road knee down you're watching here. In fact, the challenge started out just where it had last year, Calais. That's right, this awesome coast road is a mere 10 minutes down the road from one of the ferry ports, yet it's one of the best and toughest roads we've ever encountered. And despite the poor surface, a route on which the bikes were sometimes getting up to over 160 mile an hour. Of course, that paled into insignificance compared to their acceleration out of the corners. Just check out that third gear Buser Darky again. What better way to celebrate the fact that all three riders were still alive than the 42nd 5th gear 140 mph Minger. Complete, of course, with squash fly. Wheelies were to be the only thing the bird was best at on the motorway. Though to be fair, it does have a very good rush down the bottom. By the time the boys got flat out, however, there were only 2 bikes left in it. Enough of the straight stuff though. How about some 170 mph corners? Mind you, at that speed, everything's knee down. But when it has to, and when you combine the right bike with the right rider, just look at the ZX-12 go. Making Jamie on the Buser look like he's standing still, even though he's really doing about 200 mph. By the time we got 100 miles inland, it was decided we needed to make some substitutions. Sure, Danny and Jamie had done a sterling job, but with the bird already well off the pace, it had become a serious face-off just between the ZX and the GSXR. And it needed a pretty serious rider to face off Frosty in this kind of form. Seems there was nothing for it but to kidnap Gary from the hairdressers. And straight off he pulled some mingers out of the bag, like this 35-second fourth gear stand-up on a 225 kilogram bike, let's not forget. Right away, things began to look a little more equal, from top speeds to acceleration to wheelies. Black speck was the Ferrari we brought it along to humiliate, which Gaz just passed at least 50 miles an hour faster. And the more he practiced, the better the wheelies. Again, passing the Ferrari 50 miles an hour faster than its flat-out top speed. Culminating in this magnifique minger, as the French might say, lasting almost a whole minute. That's over 2 miles on the back wheel at 140 miles an hour in fifth gear. Needless to say, the French police approved of everything. It was the chief they wanted to bang up. It was time to get out of town, or preferably even the country. The next day, and Belgium started with a little maintenance, like removing half a yard from the Hayabusa chain. After that, it was just a case of repeating the roll-ons. And if things had seemed a little ambiguous in the twilight of France, there was little doubt what was edging it in the broad daylight of Belgium. Every time the Buser sneaked ahead by virtue of its low-speed grunt, by the time they hit the mid-range, the ZX would always reel it in. Here it goes again, just disappearing.
That's fucking smoking this. This is smoking. That is smoking this. I mean, this is hitting the limiter, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean? In top 2, it was the same old story. .210 miles an hour showing on the Suzuki clock, and the ZX-12 disappearing. The only time you'll have seen this view before is out of an aeroplane cockpit. But of course, by the time they got to the first decent corner, things levelled out.
Fucking hell.
And even though the ZX-12 seemed more stable mid-turn, the Buser was set to gain every time. One more time with feeling, and again after an initial low-speed lead, the ZX claws it back in.
Top! What? What?
Top gear!
Top, yeah. I thought you said it's fucked.
Did I say one more time? Well, this time, there's no doubt that the ZX is fastest. Anyway, that's enough of the serious stuff. It's back to playtime. And from this angle, the Hayabusa almost looks beautiful. Watching this, you wouldn't believe the ZX-12 is 4 times the weight of Frosty. couple more top speed runs and it's on to Holland, a country where you can legally smoke a joint while shagging a schoolgirl, but you can get imprisoned without a trial for doing over 130 miles an hour, let alone on one wheel. Yeah, that's rich coming from Gary. That's Holland over with. And at last a country where it's all legal. Because we all know we're all one big country in the EEC. We just all have completely different laws. Anyway, who's complaining? At 300 kph, the cops just waved us by. Don't forget though, 2-lane sections are restricted, so it'd kind of be rude not to go back to wheelie practice. And so finally, we arrived at the place where we were recommended to top speed tests by Triumph. Perhaps Triumph should have also mentioned it's where their last rider got killed.
You do okay? You did! Fucking if these cameras aren't running, I fucking ain't doing that again. There was no fucking signs for that. Well, if there was, I weren't looking. 200 mile an hour, you know. That was close.
Oh, I thought there was going to be loads of time, and then it suddenly pulled in, you know, to your lane. You slammed on the brakes, I was still cranked over, I slammed on my brakes, this thing went fucking sideways.
I just quickly got off the brakes and accelerated and went for that gap, which obviously helped you, didn't it?
Yeah, otherwise I'd have hit you. Fuck.
Onward and forward. It's amazing how even a country as big as Germany recedes into the distance at 200 miles an hour. The Alps in April. And despite the bitterly cold road surface, the boys are not mucking about, as Frosty confirms when he touches Gaz's back wheel. But not content with that little manoeuvre, he tries it all over again.
Fucking hell, Slippy.
If Gaz only knew how slippy. Though at least he's got the sense to be riding behind Frost this time.
Fucking hell.
Did Gaz say slippy? Oh well, time to practice some rear wheel steering. Every cloud has a silver lining after all. You could say it was an accident looking for a place to happen.
He just did a 360, yeah? I just saw his back wheel come out.
No, Gary just
Span it round. Right then, you son! Fucking thing!
What, and the mirror?
I held it up as much as I possibly could.
Once over the top and on the way down, the roads began to thaw out again, and once again it was the Buser that was firmly in the lead. Laying darkies and wheels spinning everywhere.
Fuck.
In the morning, it was decided to let Bollocks and Gazza sleep on. And once again, the reserves, young boy and even old boy, were trotted out for the ride back across the coal. Lower down it may have been, but there was precious little grip and little more runoff on some of the triple apex corners. Still, these bikes weren't exactly built for these roads, and it's testimony to their amazing ability that they managed to keep up this kind of pace. Italy, and normal service between Frost and Gaz is resumed. This part between Turin and Piacenza is so flat you can hold it wide open for 50 kilometers at a time. Until a mere hour later at 300 kilometers an hour, you're back on the border with France. And so on to the fabled 10-day pass. The ultimate test. Not so much because the roads are great, but because all in all, the climate, the terrain and the risk factor all combine to make this the ultimate bike experience for both man and machine. The only question was, which of each would survive? Just about the only thing you could lay money on was that it wasn't going to be all of them. I can tell you now, it wasn't both of them. Are you ready? Is Frosty ready? Is Gazza ready? Is the Hayabusa ready? Is the ZX-12 ready?
You alright? Watch out! Go on, get.
It was all over, as simple and as easy as that. No pain, no screaming, not even much damage. A mere 10 kilometers from our destination at Monte Carlo.
Three, two, one, flip! That weren't Rob's fault. I nearly went down as well. Look at that, eh? It's fucking pathetic. Look the fucking hole. Look. Yeah, it that bottomed out. That's me fucking locking up. Fucking hell, you dug an hole in the ground there, Rob.
And so, dear friends, that's the way the world ends. Not with a bang, but a windscreen.